Do you follow your head or your heart when making major decisions in life? Or do you do a little combination of both? Like you really want to follow your heart, but you're going to rely on your head to provide you these kind of logical steps, the pros and cons of following your heart. Should you jump in? Should you hold back? Hi, my name is Nancy Rebecca, and I'm a clairvoyant psychic. I can see the human energy field, and I have been studying the human energy field for over 2 decades now. And I have looked at the energy field of a lot of hearts. And so I'm just here to tell you that the average person's energy field and the average person probably follows their head about 70% of the time. And then you may follow your heart about 30% of the time. So just want to let you know that's about what I see as the average. And why have we kind of learned to trust our heart or not trust our heart? So in the last video that I made, I talked about protecting your heart, what guards your heart. And I talked about the 3 levels of your heart chakra, the innermost being your relationship with God, the creator, the goddess. The next level is your relationship with your own soul, your own spirit that loves and adores you. And then the 3rd layer that is out from those 2 is the one that's the relationship with others. So whether it's a love relationship or it's a relationship with a child or a parent or a friend or a coworker, those are kind of external relationships. And those external ones can also even include relationships with the grocery store clerk or the bank teller or the person at the post office. So those are all a wide range of relationships that you can feel a heart-to-heart connection with. But in this video, I'm talking about, should you follow your head or should you follow your heart? So let me just kind of describe to you as a clairvoyant what a lot of heart chakras look like to me. So I'm telling you, I have probably looked at about 20,000 energy fields, and I've looked at a lot of heart chakras. And I will just kind of jump in. The most wounded heart chakras that I have seen, it almost looks like a big hole in the heart. So when I'm looking at the person, if they've had a lot of trauma in life, if they have experienced a lot of loss, that they totally can't trust their heart at all, it can many times look like a kind of a large hole, a large gap. So the chakra actually looks like a spinning wheel. That's what chakra means in Eastern mysticism, that it's kind of called a spinning wheel is how it's described. And so that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like kind of this fan with lots of pedals on the fan, and it spins very rapidly. And when it's really healthy and it's spinning front and back, it looks very bright, looks very healthy. But for some of you out there, you may experience that you have such a big hole in your heart and say, I just feel like I have a hole in my heart. You probably do. And it's not a literal hole in your physical heart, but it's a hole in the chakra can be missing in the front or in the back, or it just has been damaged. And as a clairvoyant, as a psychic, I can kind of like see through the front and all the way out the back that the chakra's not even there. The beauty about being a healer is that chakras are replaceable. They can be healed. They can be upgraded. Loving yourself and others loving you can help to heal it as well. And your connection with the divine, asking that your heart be healed. So I guess if I were to make any recommendations right off the bat, that's what I would say is you just place your hands on your heart. You just say, I would love for you to heal my heart, please. Just say that little prayer and say it a little bit every day, and it actually works. The other thing that I can see is that I call it kind of a wounded heart. So I'll look at someone's heart and I'll see that there's a tear in it. And sometimes the tear goes from left to right, or sometimes it goes up and down along the sternum. And I don't think that I've really noticed a pattern as to why it's torn one way or another, but I can tell the depth of the wound kind of based on how deeply can I kind of enter my energetic hand into it. You know, like, does that wound go so deep that it goes up to my wrist? Or is it just a shallow kind of torn heart chakra that's just the fingertips? And so I can tell just how deep the wound is just based on what that heart chakra looks like. Now, what I have noticed is that betrayal is at the top of the list. So we definitely have betrayal, we have abuse, we have loss and grief, we have doubt and second guessing of our heart that can cause it to get stuck. So that's another thing. Sometimes I'll see the heart chakra and it just isn't moving. It's almost like rusted there. And if I try to move it at all with my healing ability, it's just solidly frozen. It's not going to move. And in every single one of those cases, it's as a psychic, I go really deep to kind of see what's going on inside, to see what kind of stuck memories are there, the stuck memories that will reveal what caused the wound in the first place. So some of the biggest, I've talked about betrayal as being some of the top reasons why someone's heart may be hurt, but definitely if in childhood, if there is a death of a parent, or a death of both parents. So I see that a lot in people. And divorce actually wounds our heart more than we may realize. And I find this quite fascinating because, you know, as a child, you can live in a home and it's just, you know, turned upside down, and maybe you have one of the parents that drinks too much, or maybe there's violence in the home. Maybe there's yelling and screaming on a constant basis. But I find it fascinating that even though the divorce allows healing to begin for the parents, many times allows a calm and a peace in the home, the child would still rather see the parents together, even in their fighting state, than they would apart. So a lot of times they haven't resolved that. And as a parent, you're thinking, I've just done a really healthy thing for my child. And I remember for me as well, I was married for 18 years. And then when we went our separate ways, and even our kids were older, you know, a lot of times people would ask me and I'd say, you know, the only regret that I have is that I didn't do it 7 or 8 years earlier, because I wanted my kids to have both parents together. And it doesn't matter. Both of my kids ended up kind of carrying that split forward with them in their life. So when I say that word split, it can divide the heart. And so I see that often as well. So should you follow your head or should you follow your heart, which is kind of the name of this video, and I've written a blog about it. And so you want your heart to, you want to be able to tap into and listen and feel into and act on the healthy, whole aspects of your heart. You want to be able to drop in deeply. And so that's what I encourage you to do, is not just stop at the relationship part, not just stop at dropping into your relationship with your own spirit, but drop right into that really deep aspect, what I call kind of the glory of God, or that really sacred place inside. And there's that spark of that light that just became illuminated when you were born. And so you really, when you want to make a decision, you want to drop in deeper, and you just tell yourself, okay, I need to go deeper and deeper and deeper. There's layers of some hurt there that is triggering my mind to try to steer me away from listening to my heart. So that's really the answer to the question, is that we want to play it safe. We may have been hurt or harmed by a man or a woman in relationship. We may have been hurt or harmed by our mother or our father. And that can kind of color our world as we move through it and interfere and cause blocks to us trusting another man in our life or trusting another woman in our life. And so we don't trust that, and our mind will lead us away. So I kind of call that, are you following your wholeness, your heart wholeness, or your heart woundedness? And so many times it's hard to tell if we are following our wound or if we are following our heart. The other thing that comes up quite often, we think we're following our heart. We think that our heart is leading us in the right direction because you may feel intimately attracted to someone. You feel sexually attracted to them. It's like, wow, I'm having this full body reaction to this person. I would really love some intimacy. I feel like there's love. And how often have we heard that when you get married and then you have sexual relations with your husband or your wife, that's the way that you express love. I mean, how many of us have even told our children that? Now we're in a whole different generation, so don't get me started on intimacy that's going on that's really changed. That'll be for another subject. But often we feel strongly sexually attracted to someone and we think that that's love. We think we have fallen in love with that person, but actually we have just fallen in sex with that person. So your sexual energy channels are in the second chakra. Yeah, so sometimes you just want intimacy. Sometimes you just want to have sex. That doesn't mean you need to marry the person. That doesn't mean you are in love with them and you're going to spend the rest of your life with them. And so, but sometimes we have these holes in our heart from past wounds. And when we have sexual contact with someone, we have intimacy, we have touching, we feel held, that fills that hole. And so sometimes you can be addicted to love, addicted to intimacy as a way to not feel the emptiness of your own heart. I was in my blog, I kind of wrote, you ask your heart, do you want that gallon of ice cream? And you hear, yes, absolutely. I'm following my heart. My heart wants that ice cream. Well, actually, that's your wound. Your wound is saying, fill my heart with ice cream. Your wound is saying, fill my heart with alcohol or drugs, or like I said, sex, or working a lot where you feel fulfilling, or over giving and over caring for others as a way to fill that emptiness in your own heart. So again, we can think that we are touching into the wholeness, and yet we're touching into the woundedness. So how do you, and should you ever follow your head more than your heart? And I would say yes, absolutely. You want to follow your head when you do have a wounded part of your heart, and a large wounded part of your heart, and it may be beneficial for you to talk to a therapist to help you kind of work through some of those old wounds. Absolutely, meditation can help you to heal those things, but only you know if that wound is so deep that you may need to talk it out with a talk therapist who is highly skilled at asking all the right questions and helping to build up your strength to be able to cope so that you can begin to trust your own heart again. Because I know that there is many of you out there. I know there are millions of you who are out there who have done what you called followed your heart, and it turned out disastrous. But your spirit and the spirit world doesn't really think much is disastrous. It's like, all right, so you fell in love with that cute guy and it seemed like it was a strong, unwavering, lifelong love, and yet you broke up after 3 months. your spirit is really excited about it all because you're learning lessons. You're learning about boundaries. You're learning about you getting your needs met. You know, what are your needs, or maybe how to give love to someone else. So your spirit really kind of calculates all this and sets it all out for you to meet this person so that you can fall in love. But maybe you were never meant to be with this person for a long period of time. Or maybe you want to make a move to another state and you're dropping into your heart what you think is your heart, that's saying that you need, my heart's telling me I need to move to another state, but it might be your wound that's telling you run away from the source of pain. I remember when I was called to South Africa, and I did have friends that told me, you're just running away from your problems. You're just avoiding your problems. And then I remember a person saying, I think it's so beautiful that you have prayed deeply about this and that you feel called by God to go to and live in Africa and follow God's mission for you. And that was like, that's what I felt like I was doing. That felt like that really affirmed my heart. Were there wounded parts that I was running away from? Yeah, there definitely were. When I look back on it now, I can definitely tell you there was a lot going on, and I just needed to step out of my world for a while. But at the time, it was helpful for me to believe that I was following my calling. Was I? Yeah. So were both true? Yes, both were true. Did following my heart require me to deal with a lot of my wounds, or did it cause me to kind of have to override my mind that was trying to stop me or block me? Yes, all of the above. But I learned the difference between what following my heart was and what following my wound was. And so right now, I'm just going to ask you to take a couple of minutes to just close your eyes and place your hands on your own heart chakra. And we're just going to take a couple of minutes here. Both of your arms and your hands have your own healing channels that flow through your arms and out your hand chakras. So right now, send some loving care to your own heart until you can feel comforted, you comforting yourself. Remind your heart chakra of what today's date is, whatever date that you are watching this video. It's called Present Timing the Heart. Pulling all your soul's energy out of wounds of the past to be fully present where you are now. Or maybe you have all your energy in the future as you're trying to imagine the perfect love. Pull all of your soul's energy from the future to be fully present in your heart chakra now. And ask your own soul to begin helping you to release and letting go of old wounds that block you from trusting your own heart. Let go of that old energy. Just let it go right down your grounding just draining right down to the center of the earth for that energy to be recycled. If you feel some old wounds from childhood coming up, remind yourself of how old you are now. You have a lot of life experience that you bring to your heart now that you had no control over when you were a child. It's called present aging your heart chakra. Ask the angels, the God of your heart. Maybe you'd like to call in Jesus or Mary or Buddha or Shiva or Kuan Yin, the holy ones. I like that term, the holy ones. Ask them to place their hands on your hands and help you to heal any rips or tears or holes in your heart, helping you to make your heart whole again. Beautiful. Now, tap in deeply to the center of your heart chakra, where the God of your heart, the spark of the divine, resides in that deepest part. And for some of you, it may seem like the tiniest spark, but I promise you, we all have a divine spark there. Ask it to start getting brighter and brighter and brighter, radiating out through all the layers of your heart chakra and easily and effortlessly dissolving old wounds that do not serve you in your life now. Oh, there you go. There you go. Sometimes I like to imagine like rose water, rose oil, rose petals, just swirling around in my heart chakra, healing everything that is ready to be healed. Or maybe you want to bring in another color. Beautiful. So go ahead and open your eyes. In just a couple of minutes a day, you can just, even before you get out of bed in the morning, you just touch your own heart and you just keep asking your own spirit to help you heal your heart and help you trust your heart. And then when you think that you really can trust what your heart is saying, this is the most important part. You take action. You risk to love again, and you risk allowing yourself to be loved. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay, because you learned something, and then be willing to risk again. So should you follow your head or should you follow your heart? Well, it's my opinion your heart's never going to lead you wrong as long as it is the healed part of your heart. So let yourself begin that healing journey for yourself today. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. The next video next week, I'll be talking about finding your true love, teaching you a technique that I use in almost every reading I do. I'm going to pass that on to you so that you can use it for your own life. And so, yeah, I look forward to seeing you again. Just click the subscribe button so that you can get notification when my next video comes out. So best to you all. Let's just make a commitment to follow our hearts together. And I'll see you next time.